I don't know what my hair is doing. I fully just put it up, not even thinking. I put in a clip and like, I don't know what it's doing. Also, it is currently like 6 p.m. I've been trying to film this video all day and I just have kept getting distracted or just like, I'm low energy today. But you know what? There's always something wrong with me literally every day. So there's no better time to film a video than right now. Hello everyone and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Zarina and today we are going through all the books that I read for the month of July. So this video scares me because this is by far, last month, whoa, what is my voice doing? Hold on. Last month's video, I hated editing that. That was like nearly an hour long and I had 16 books. And this month, guys, I have 18 books. Yay! I'm genuinely on the verge of tears. I think that's also why I've been trying to avoid filming this video, because if I don't film, therefore I do not have to edit. But it's happening. I gotta edit tomorrow. I'm already mentally prepared for being at my desk for at least like 12 hours. I do forget to say it, but if you do not want to sit through an hour-long video, all of the timestamps are in the description. Yay! Because I've said that, let's just get started. If you hear any dogs barking in the background, that is because it is walking time in the neighborhood for all my neighbors to walk their dogs, and our dogs hate one other dogs, so if you hear Herman and Ludo, I'm sorry. As always, we are starting with the books that I'm reading currently. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is Ana Karenina. I'm about 200 pages in. This book is really like the Real Housewives of Russia 1880, because what is happening, craziness has already happened in the first 200 pages. In my brain, like The Count of Monte Cristo is the craziest classic I've ever read, because for a while I've only read classics through school and I was convinced that they're boring. But like, this is so messy and I'm only 200 pages in. I can only imagine what happens in this next like 800 pages. Yes, this book is like 1,000 pages long. I think this copy particular is 963 pages. The next book that I'm currently reading is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I'm like 25% of the way through. Having a good time in the sense where I'm not mentally prepared for any of the things that are going to happen in the rest of that book, Mockingjay, or the two new books, because apparently I just like to feel dead inside, because that's where we're aiming at with the trajectory of that series. And then third, I'm reading What the River Knows by Isabella Bañez. I'm like almost halfway-ish, and I unfortunately don't understand the hype. I think it promises too much, especially with the hype, and then kind of under-delivered. More in-depth review later. And I'm also working on a reading vlog. We'll see if that ever gets posted. But yeah, it should be out in like 2 weeks. I was like, I'll have 14 days. Yeah, anyway, 2 weeks. If you've seen my last couple videos where I do my wrap-ups for the month, I don't know why I'm clapping like that. You'll know that I recently changed the way I do these. I used to do them chronologically with like the books that I read. However, that got really confusing for my brain, and it's been working for me that if I group them into the age categories, we'll be good. Except this month, I have no middle grade, and instead, I have a very special section for graphic novels and manga, so. Alright, starting with our YA section. Would have helped if I had a book in my hand. Starting off the YA section, we've got the classic, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Like I said, I'm just reading Catching Fire, but I started, of course, with The Hunger Games. This was a 5-star read for me. It is just so good. The pacing, the characters, the world. Is it dark? Yes. Is it dystopian? Unfortunately. But is it a time that makes you contemplate your entire life? Yes. I think what I loved about reading them after seeing the movies, because I also hadn't watched the movies in a long time, and then I watched the movies, which is what inspired me to read the book. I think the difference between the movies and the book are fantastic, because I feel like they really use the medium that they are to their advantage. Like in the book, we're in Katniss's perspective, we get to read in her mind, like we really know what she thinks about the world and what's going on. But I feel like when you watch the movie, because we don't get a lot of Katniss's internal dialogue, like they do a really good job to show us like what she might be thinking. But I feel like from the movie perspective, we're more watching as like maybe someone watching the games, and we can tell a lot less of what's happening with Katniss. And there's a lot of really cool things they do in the movie that makes it so that like you're not really in Katniss's perspective, you become more of a viewer. Like you're watching the movie, but you're also, yeah, you understand, I think. So if you've never read The Hunger Games, this book basically follows a girl named Katniss. She lives in this world where the country at some point in the past has been split up into these 12 districts, each district having a specialty in like agriculture, or her district is coal mining. And in this world, there was once a revolution that the districts were fighting back against their oppression from the capital, but they lost to the capital. And now, once a year, the capital requires each district to send 2 tributes to play in the Hunger Games, where only one victor will come out living. This is like the origin of the games format, I feel like, in modern day books. I'm sure there's books before this that have some kind of arena element, but like in my memory, this is like the original that started it all, that inspired stuff like Powerless and like other stuff. I can't think of a single other thing. But basically we follow Katniss as something happens where she ends up in the games and she must play for her life, and that's my only response. Like, it's so good. And I feel like the writing is so tight, and like this book, under 400 pages. Under 400 pages, giant font. This book is so to the point. I feel like it's not extra wordy. Oh, it's so good. I'm moving on. I feel like that's smart. We're gonna move on. So the next book that I'm gonna be talking about is the conclusion of a series that I talked about last month, and that is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This has got a 5 stars for me, of course, because I have a weakness for this series in particular in the Shadowhunters Chronicles. If you want to know more about the Shadowhunters Chronicles and this specific series, I would suggest go watch last month's video, because it took me a long time, longer than it should have, to figure out how to explain it, and I really don't feel like refiguring it out, so really sorry about that. I somehow ended up with the collector's first edition, but it's because I got it at the used bookstore, and I'm pretty sure I got this for like $5, which, honestly, a steal. However, it is slightly bothering me that I have 2 of the new covers, because I was like, I'm never gonna find the original covers, and now I have one, but I refuse to buy into capitalism that I need to match my books, because it's like, fine, I don't think I care that much. For the conclusion, it was a good conclusion. I enjoyed it. I feel like she balances all the different characters that we're reading from really well, and the stories and the romances and like the plot. I will not lie, while I was reading this book and trying to figure out how I was going to describe it for this video, made me realize how little I remember the original, like the Mortal Instruments, like the first series, because I don't really remember what happens. So because the last hours, Wicked Powers, holy shit. Sorry, there's 5 series, okay? I can't really keep them all straight, but the Wicked Powers start next year from what I've seen. I unfortunately do feel like I need to read the Mortal Instruments, which I think I said last month, but like I was trying to convince myself whether I needed to or not, and unfortunately I do. And I do think I need to read The Dark Artifices and The Last Hours again. I don't want to read The Last Hours again. I feel like I just read it, but I can't remember a single thing that happens, which I think is the problem with that series. But yeah, oh my god. And poor Magnus Bane, always having to deal with those damn Herondales. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with my body. I'm getting hot, but I don't have a shirt under this, and I don't really want to find a shirt. Yeah, you'll notice that I'm a bit of a mood today. Don't know what's going on. I did tell myself that if I get through filming, my parents last night found a Smart & Finals that they didn't know was there. And Smart & Finals is basically this store that sells, it's not quite like Costco in like wholesale selling, but they have some kinds of wholesale items that you can use in like restaurant businesses. And what they have is this absolutely massive tub of acai, and I don't know why, but all I've been craving is acai, and this specific one is dairy-free because I have a dairy allergy, and no, I can't take lactose. I'm not allergic to lactose or lactase, whatever. I'm allergic to the actual protein structure of the dairy, so no, I can't even. So a lot of things will be like, especially boba places, will say, oh, we use a dairy-free creamer, but their dairy-free creamer actually uses a product of like the protein from milk without it being milk, and I'm still allergic to that. So watch out if you are also allergic to dairy and you're like, oh, these people say they have a dairy-free creamer. Make sure it's actually dairy-free, because sometimes it has a dairy derivative, which isn't counted as dairy for some freaking reason. Where is this going? Oh, the absolutely massive tub of acai. So I'm allowed to go make myself an acai bowl when I'm done. So the next book I'm going to be talking about, I do not have. Well, I do have, but it is an ebook on the phone that I'm currently recording on. And that is The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakavic. pronunciation? Question mark? Anyway, so basically, before I forget, I gave it a 5 stars. It was really great. I did expect it to be really good though, because I've hyped this series up pretty high in my mind. I've been seeing it on Pinterest since I was a kid, like the covers of these books, and never read them. Had no idea what they were about, but I was like, I just know these are gonna be god tier books, mainly because a lot of people who like them also like the Raven Cycle, and I feel like the Raven Cycle have become like a god tier book for me. I think even higher than the original Percy Jackson series, which is like actually a crazy statement because that was my personality actually. Yeah, but basically these books have to do, I should have looked up their names. Okay, so I'm gonna give them numbers because I can't remember. So we have Guy 1, and he is playing this game called Xe. I cannot explain to you the rules of Xe or how it's played or what the teams are comprised of because I need you to know I think it's a fictional sport. Sorry if it is a real sport, I'm pretty sure it's fictional. I could not at all grasp the concept of this sport. And so basically he plays this sport named Xe at his school, and we find out like his coach is trying to find out like, hey bro, I need to talk to your parents because there's like this thing that I need your parents, and he's like, LOL, sorry, my parents are like out of town, like it's fine. And the coach was like, nah bro, we need to like, I need to work out with your parents. And then turns out like we don't know what happened to his parents, like we do later in the book, but it's like kind of spoiler territory, so like I won't go there. But things like he's on the run basically, and he is fighting with himself because the thing that his coach wants to talk to his parents about is because a college level coach has basically been like, he's kind of really good for being a newbie, and like Guy 2, who's like my star player, for some reason chose him, and like we don't know why, but he's got to go play with us at their college, I'm forgetting the name, and play with the team. And the guy's like, I'm on the run, I don't want to settle down, but like overall his what is happening? His like internal struggle loses, and he's like, I want to go play Xe, I love this game, like it's all for the game bro, like I gotta do this for the game. And so he goes, and turns out like, well he knew, but like the specific team that he's playing for, they're known for being like ruffians, and like all of them come from like more troubled backgrounds, and we don't get to see most of their stories. We know that he's connected with Guy 2, but we don't know how, because Guy 1 like isn't telling us, but he's like, I really hope Guy 2 doesn't like recognize me because like something really bad happened. And when they reveal what it was in fact very bad, and I did not see coming. Yeah, and it basically was a great time because it's kind of like Haikyuu, but with a fictional sport, but there's also girls on the team, but it's also that found family element, but also a lot darker and like more, I cannot emphasize how dark this was, and I was not expecting it. So definitely find a list of trigger warnings if you are sensitive to that before you start reading them, but they were so good. I cannot wait for the rest of the series. And if you're like, Zarina, how can you convince me to get more into the series? The ebook is free on Barnes & Noble, which is, I was looking for a copy. There's literally, I could not find a single physical copy. I'm sure I maybe could have found it secondhand online, but I really, for my own sake, do not do online shopping of any kind, because I will spend money that I should not be. So I was like, it's fine. I will just do an ebook, which, as most of you know by last month's video, is I don't like ebooks. So the fact that I literally was so motivated to get through this ebook, it was just, you need to read it. And again, it's free on the Barnes & Noble thing, or maybe some of your friends might have physical copies, because I want a physical copy. Let me have a physical copy. I just know this series is gonna be so good, and I've had multiple people that I know be like, hey, I heard you finally started the Foxhole Court, and like, as someone who's read the whole thing, you're gonna freaking love this thing. And I'm like, yes! Hell yeah, I'm so excited. Yep. I just realized those 3 books were all 5 stars. Wow. The final book for the YA section is The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. These freaking stickers have been killing me since I got the book like 3 years ago now, and I have not been able to get them off. Also, tell me why I've had these books for like 3 years, and tell me why within like 1 week of starting to read this book, I lost the poster. It's in my room somewhere, but I don't know where. Troublesome, but I will find it eventually. I ended up rating this a 4 stars. Basically, The Fragile Threads of Power takes place in the same world as the Shades of Magic series. We do follow most of the old characters from Shades of Magic, but we do have some new characters thrown in. I will not lie. The reason this book is not 5 stars is because I had the same issue with this one as I had with the whole Shades of Magic series, and that's literally just that I did not feel compelled to pick them up. Which, like, once I was reading, I was having a good time, and like I got immersed in the world, forgot the pages, but I noticed between like sessions of reading, I really dreaded picking up this book, which is really odd because I, at this point, remember enjoying the story, but there's just something about V.E. Schwab's books, and I've read, this is now number 4, that I don't understand why I don't want to pick them up. And the magic is very cool, it's very put together. I think mainly the way she describes things move a little too slowly for me, and it feels like not a lot happens. Like, it takes this many pages, this many pages for this amount of story to happen, and I feel like when you read the story, you come out of it and you're kind of like, I think all the things that happened in my brain happened in about half the book, and like did not need these extra pages, which feels unfair to say because at the same time I feel like the writing's really good and it's very tightly woven. So I don't understand what happens with my brain when I'm reading the Schwab books, but they just, like, they're a good time and I enjoy them, but at the same time they just don't really jump out at me, is what I think I was trying to say. And yeah, it's really unfortunate because I will be continuing the series. I do want Kel and Lila and Rai and Alucard and literally all of them to have a happy ending for once. Please, I'm begging. You know what, maybe there's also something that happens. It's just because like you can't really see where the book is going, and like not in a bad way, because like you have some general ideas what's gonna happen and that there's tension. It's just like I really hate books where I can't see where they're going. And I think that's what happens with V.E. Schwab books. Like I just don't know where they're going most of the time, and I don't know, but they were really good, and I feel like most general fantasy readers would enjoy these. If you've never read the Shades of Magic and you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically in this world there's magic, and like most people have one kind of elemental magic, but then there are these people called the Antari that can do all 5 kinds of elemental magic and also jump between worlds. And the way the worlds work is like they're kind of like, we know of 4 parallel timelines that kind of have like really like walls built between them so that the Antari can jump between. And the reason why is because in the past there was once what Kel, because we use Kel's colors because he's the one who introduces it to us in the Shades of Magic series, what he calls Black London, which is basically the London where magic was the strongest, but there was like, it got so strong that it like corrupted the world. And there's a whole reason that the walls exist. Next to them is White London, and for the entire Shades of Magic series, magic is basically like rationed out because the way the citizens used it, they accidentally like smothered it to the point where it's like almost non-existent. So there's like crazy power struggles, including killing multiple kings and queens, like there's a new king or queen like once a year kind of situation. Then there's Red London, which is Kel's home London. Magic is abundant. It's called Red London because the river Thames, what is that river called? Sorry, people from London or know what people who know how to pronounce that river name. It's like glowing red because of how much magic is in there, and it's like called a source. And then there's also Grey London, where magic is like completely gone, but it's gone and people don't really know it ever existed. Like there's a few crazy people who are like, I know magic is real, and Kel's like, haha, actually magic's dead in your world. But yeah, I can't say much because there's literally an entire series before this, and by talking about it I would spoil. To talk about the base where this one starts would be to spoil the ending for that one, and I don't want to do that. So moving on. Starting off the graphic novel and manga section, we've got Hollow by Shannon Waters, Brandon Boyer White, who wrote the story, and Bernice Nell, who did the illustrations. If you watched my July CBR video, you'll know that I actually did not purchase this in that video to be a part of my monthly reading, and that is because I did not purchase it. My grandma bought it for me because we were in LA and we went to Barnes & Noble, and in front of the graphic novel section was this, and I was like, into the cart. And my grandma was like, why? And I was like, because you don't understand. Me finding this thing has been difficult. And she goes, okay, I will buy it for you. And I'm like, it's okay. And she's like, no, I'll buy it for you. So she bought me this. Yeah, I ended up rating it a 4.5 stars. It was pretty good. This basically follows Isabel Crane, who her family and her just moved to Sleepy Hollow. And Isabel, who also goes by Izzy, goes to school and spends a couple days there and figures out the entire town is like kind of low-key, high-key obsessed with the Legend of the Headless Horseman. And Izzy's like kind of low-key done with it already a couple days into town. And there, Izzy ends up meeting the descendant of the original Van Tassel family, who goes by Vicky, and together they start hanging out, and they're friends, and this guy is also part of the friend group, but I can't remember his name. Basically, weird stuff is happening to Vicky, and like it's starting to threaten her life, so the three of them band together to try to figure out what's going on and stop whatever is going to happen before it's too late. It was super cute. There are, in fact, LGBTQ plus characters in here. It was really fun. I feel like for a graphic novel that is relatively short, and it's very focused on its storyline, but at the same time we get to learn a lot about the characters, and does a really good job of developing the whole town and surrounding characters, not just like Izzy and Vicky and the third guy that I can't remember his name. It was really fun. I feel like this would be a great read around Halloween, which I was thinking of giving it to the high school that I usually give stuff to, but I might keep this till Halloween and read it then for like a spooky vibe. This next one I just need to get over with, okay? There's no easy way to put that I'm rereading this series, and it's actually not reread. I'm reading it for the first time, but I've technically seen the anime. So the next book that I'm going to be talking about is Volume 1 of Food Wars, also known as Shokugeki no Soma. I ended up giving it a 4 stars, which I honestly... So I will explain the series, and then I will explain to you why I'm having an issue. So basically this follows a middle school boy, like entering high school, boy named Soma. He has a first name, that's his last name, but I don't remember what it is. And he basically works at his family restaurant with his dad, and basically one day these people come in and they're like, hey, so we actually want to buy your restaurant and turn it into like a hotel or something. And he's like, hell no, this is my family restaurant, like we take pride in the work we do as chefs, and like, so that's not gonna happen. So basically Soma like single-handedly fights off these like very terrible real estate investors, and he's like, Dad, aren't you so proud of me? Like, I'm gonna work at the restaurant after middle school, like I got this. And his dad's like, actually psych, we're closing the restaurant for a while, I'm gonna go work abroad as a chef in other kitchens, and I'm forcing you to do the entrance exams for this very, very elite private cooking school that like literally it's like make or break. If you don't make it into this school, you will basically never be able to be a chef anywhere. Like, you're gonna be blacklisted, because like this school is like the yes or the no for the entire world of like chefs. And he's like, thanks Dad for the warning. And so he basically, things happen, he gets into the school, and then he has to make it till graduation, but it's also a very cutthroat university like school, so like he's got to cook his way to the top, which I feel like describing it sounds fantastic, right? And the story is really good. I will say, as a middle schooler, I got to the 4th season of the anime. I don't know what volume of manga that corresponds with, but I never got to finish it. And I don't exactly remember where I was. So I was like, you know what? Let me reread it. I was at an anime expo with my friends. It had been a long day, so we went to the like manga garden, I think it was called. I don't remember what it was called. But basically it was this like room with tons of free manga that you could just borrow and read and then put back. Library, yes, of course. And when I was there, I was like, you know what? Let me reread Food Wars. And I did. And I forgot how bad the fan service is. So I feel like if you are a relatively new anime fan, and if you're also a relatively new manga reader, and you're reading like many of the mainstream series, a lot of series now, at least from watching the anime, there's a lot less concerning fan service that I remember as like a middle schooler. And oh, Food Wars is like so bad. It's like really, really terrible. And I realized I do want to finish the series, but I do need to like brush up on what's happened, because I don't feel like the emotional impact of the end will be that good if I don't read. However, that fan service element is really, really bad. I'm actually like, as I was preparing for this video, thinking I'm probably gonna knock the manga rating down, because like, even though the story is really good, the fan service is just so uncomfortable that like, there's no good way to get through it. I do think this is what kind of has pushed me to, instead of trying to rewatch the anime, also because for some reason seasons 1 through like 3 are no longer available like to watch anywhere that I can find. And in the manga, like those panels, I can kind of just like cover them and like read what the words were saying and like move on faster, because hearing the audio is like even worse. But yeah, so I will try to figure out if there's a free way for me to get through this, because I really don't want to buy the volumes. I don't want to have them in my house, but I do want to finish the story, just because like this is, again, another series that middle school me didn't get a chance to finish, but I was like, I want to know what happens. This, suggestion-wise, is definitely a no for me. Like, if you've never started Food Wars and you've never watched it before, I would not suggest starting it. Like, this is definitely something that, like, don't watch. So now that we've discussed that train wreck, let's have a little bit of a palate cleanser, and that is Snow White with the Red Hair, volume 14. This volume got a 5-star for me. It was really good. We're like now officially like in this arc, and I'm gonna be very general with it because I don't want to spoil it. But basically, if you've never heard of Snow White with the Red Hair, it basically follows this girl Shirayuki, the girl with the red hair in the front. She has like this bright red hair that's like really rare. She works as an apothecary. One day she's forced to run away from home, and she ends up in a new country where she's like friends with the prince and like his friends, and like things happen and romance and like very fun, very cute. I do like this cover. I think Kiki and Shirayuki having like basically matching hair is adorable. Yeah, I love all the characters. It is a very cozy romance, not incredibly slow burn, but like kind of, but also not. Like by I think like volume 8 they're already together and the relationship is super cute. One of the reasons I started this series when I did was Shirayuki and Zen are adults, which I know is really rare for a lot of anime and manga to have characters that are adults in romance. Not rare, but like less mainstream, I guess, and this is one of the ones. It has an anime, it has 2 seasons, it's great. This volume follows, so there's a part of Clareness called Lilius, where basically the apothecaries have like their university or like their big study area where like tons of people, it's not just the apothecaries, it's like the other bright minds of the country come to like study all these texts and volumes. And Prince Izana, Zen's older brother, sends Shirayuki, and she's basically sent with her like guy that she's apprenticing under. His name's Rue. He's like 12 years old, but he's like incredibly smart, and they're sent to Lilius to do research for this as on assignment from the castle, but also as like for research on a very specific project. And she's separated from Zen. In this volume is making decisions about her life. She's been kind of lost a little bit where she wants to go, and she makes her big decision in this volume, and there's developments happening with the research that they're doing, and it's so cute, it's so fun. I feel like if you enjoyed Apothecary Diaries but you want something a little bit more on the cozy side and much less on the season 2, if you've seen season 2 side, I would definitely suggest this. It is very cute, very fun. Yeah, definitely not like a Mao Mao Jinchi kind of situation. Like definitely very good at communicating their feelings. Like actually the complete opposite as Mao Mao and Jinchi. These two are so good at communicating their feelings. I keep like, it's not Kiki. Zen, he's not anywhere in this book, so I can't show you. But yeah, highly suggest. Oh, before I continue, there's also a short story in this volume that's super cute. Yeah. Okay, now actually continuing. The next 2 I will be talking about a little bit together because they're part of the same series, and that is because I read volume 3 of Noragami Stray God and volume 4. It's really funny because one of these is from a used store and it's like much more firm and not floppy, and then this is a newer copy that I actually bought, again, new. I don't know if you can hear anything over the floppiness, but like the flop is very different with these 2 volumes. But basically, if you've never heard of Noragami Stray God, it basically follows this god named Yuto. He's basically really lame and really terrible at his job. He has like no followers and he's like broke. But in this world, the gods wield weapons called Shinki, and it's a little bit like Soul Eater if you've seen that, but it's like the wielder is a god and then the Shinki is a soul of a past person. And what's really hard about getting Shinki is you must find these souls before they're corrupted by like the other side. And the gods basically fight demons, yokai I guess is the more correct word, from coming over and like attaching to humans and causing them to have depression and like dying. In volume 3, we get to learn a little bit more about Yukine and like conclude his arc that started in the first volume. Yeah, and so basically the Shinki, if they do things that are immoral or go against their god's wishes, they can cause what's called the blight, which is like, and you can kind of see it on like Yato's neck. And Yukine is like very young and he's very outspoken and he doesn't really like to listen to Yato. So yeah, and like, this one I actually cried during. It was a really, really strong storyline completely throughout. The pacing's fantastic, and yeah, it's really, really good, which is why I got 5 stars from me. And then this volume follows Bishamon, which is one of the other gods, and she has tons of Shinki. She's really popular, but we kind of find out that everything in her world is not going as good as she lets the outside world believe. There's a lot of new enemies that start appearing in this one, and you can kind of see where like the larger arc is starting to go. And again, the pacing was fantastic, the characters are really cool, and like it's one of those where there's not too much writing, and I feel like it uses its medium of, you know, being drawings really well to communicate the story. And this one also got a 5-star from me. Overall, these were really good. I can't wait to continue the series, and I'm just hoping the Teapot gives me more because I need more. Currently, we're still within what I remember watching in the anime. I don't know if I finished season 1. I believe there's only 1 season, but we're currently still in that. So the show was so good. So like, can you kind of bring back the show? I'd really appreciate it if the show came back too. So the next 2 volumes of manga I will also be talking about together because they're part of the same series, and that is volume 5 of The Sign of Affection and volume 6. This series is by Morishita. It also has an anime out. It's good. If you've never heard of this series, it's about a girl who's deaf. Her name is Yuki. She's right here in the pink hair. She basically meets this guy Itsumomi who helps her out of like an awkward situation, and she becomes really interested in him, and she eventually like ends up developing feelings for them. Whoa. She ends up developing feelings for him, and he reciprocates, and they're in a relationship, and they're trying to figure that out. Itsumomi also really enjoys learning languages, so he's working on learning sign language. And yeah, there's not really much that I can say about this. It's mainly more drama. I think that's why both of them got a 4-star for me. It's kind of one of those stories where it's very cozy, but kind of cozy to the point where like all the plot comes from character dynamics, which I'm a person who more enjoys like a half and half, like a perfect split between real plot and character plot integrated very well, and that just like isn't what's happening, but it's still very good, and I still would suggest reading it if that's your thing. The artwork is gorgeous. In volume 5, we learn more about Oshi, which is Yuki's childhood friend, who is fluent in sign language, and in volume 5, we also continue out Oshi's story, as well as learning more about Emma, who is a background character from Itsuomi's past, and some other guy. Oh, and we learn about Itsuomi's past himself a little bit. Yeah, and again, they're fun. I'm gonna continue the series. Moving on to another 5-star volume of manga, and that is volume 2 of the Apothecary Diaries so the story is by Natsu Hyuga. And like, okay, sit down with me while I explain the story of these, because I did not understand how complicated, because I watched the anime first, and then someone was like, oh yeah, and there's a manga. There's actually 2 mangas, and then they're like, yes, and there's actually like a light novel, but like that light novel, okay. The Apothecary Diaries is originally written as like a web novel by Natsu Hyuga, and then from there it gets turned into a light novel. And then the light novel, apparently according to what I heard on the internet, so you're gonna have to look this up to like fact check me, but basically what happened was, from the light novel, multiple manga companies were like interested in it, or like they queried to multiple companies, and like multiple of them picked them up at the same time on accident. And the more popular version, at least in the US, is the Square Enix version, because this is what the anime is based off of. It's actually it follows less closely to the light novel, and the characters, like, at least I believe in character description, but it follows the overall story beats of the light novel pretty well. The other manga series that's a bit less popular follows the light novel with how the characters are described in the story a lot more closely, but I think it's just like from a smaller manga company. I don't really know. I just know Barnes sells these, so these are the ones I buy. So after that explanation, if you've never heard of Apothecary Diaries, basically they follow Mao Mao, who is an apothecary apprentice basically under her adoptive father in the Pleasure District, and she is kidnapped to the Rear Palace, which is basically like in the Emperor's Palace, the place for all his concubines, and the only place that are allowed there are women or eunuchs who act as guards. And she basically is trying to lay low as just a laundry person until Jinchi, this random like really high-ranking eunuch, is like low-key figured out that you can read and you saved the concubine's child. So that concubine, also known as Lady Gyokyo, basically was like, you are now my poison taster, which they like kind of feel bad for, but Mama's like, poisons? I like poisons. You mean I get to taste poisons? Yeah, and she's a little bit of a freak, and we love her, but basically she works as a poison taster, and she accidentally keeps attracting the attention of high-ranking nobles because she's really good at her job, even though she's not supposed to because reasons. But yeah, The series is great. I love the anime. If you've seen the anime and you're wondering what volume, like where this covers the recovery of Lady Lihua and the garden party. Cannot wait for the next one. Really, really want to catch up. I can't believe I keep hearing that the next season of Apothecary Diaries isn't gonna come out till 2027. So I'm a little bit upset by that. Also, is it true, someone who knows more about the Apothecary Diaries, is it true that someone is going to prison because of tax fraud? Okay, I promise we're almost done with the manga. We're almost there. I'm done with talking, but I still have so many books. This is ridiculous. The final manga that we have for this month was also a 5-star, and that is volume 2 of volume 3 of Spy Family. If you've never heard of Spy Family, basically it follows this guy. His codename is Twilight. He's a spy in Estonia, and it's kind of based, very, very loosely based on like Germany during the Cold War kind of situation-ish. And he's a spy. His codename is Twilight. He's trying to keep world peace, and to do that, this time his mission is to go under disguise as a father, but because there's no agents available to, one, play a kid and a wife, he must locate those. So his daughter can get to this really elite school where she will eventually, like, the plan is for her to become friends with the top, like, party's second son, so that Twilight can get close to that guy to stop the war and keep world peace. So because the agency has no women available to play his wife, and then he has to adopt a random child, he has to basically pull civilians in, and he's like, oh shit, oh crap, I don't know how to do this, I don't know, like, I've been a spy, I'm like the top spy of Estonia, and like, no, Estonia is an actual country. Sorry, I just realized I've been saying Estonia, but it's Austonia with an O. I'm so sorry, Estonians. I know where your country is. I've never been, but it looks very cool. He goes to a really questionable orphanage, and he just picks out a random little girl who seems smart, and that's where we meet Anya, who's this pink-haired little tiny child. We don't know how old she is. We know that she lies to Twilight, who goes by Lloyd Forger in this country. She lies to him, and the reason that she knows to lie is because she's actually secretly a telepath. And then this is Yor, who's on the cover, which is the woman he eventually picks to be his wife. And we find out very quickly that Yor is a secret assassin. So basically, in this household, we have the father, who is secretly a spy, the mother, who is secretly an assassin, and the daughter, who's secretly a telepath. And they all must not figure out each other's identities, and it's all kinds of shenanigans, and it's all super fun, and it's so cute. And like, Lloyd Forger's so hot. Which is like actually the point. Like, I got them right here. I've got a Bond over there, which is the dog. You can't see. Actually, can you see now? Can you see them? I got more down there. The grip this show has on me. And there's a new season coming out in October. I found out that the government is planning to ban anime sooner than later. And what am I supposed to use to distract myself? That the world is falling apart. I better be able to see Spy Family. And apparently some people are like, it's not a full-out ban, it's just a tariff on media, so I wonder how that's going to affect streaming sites like Crunchyroll, that's like a subscription base. I don't even want to think about it right now, okay? I don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to care about these things, but unfortunately that's the way the world has come to, and I'm gonna turn into freaking Sungmin from Stray Kids, just start airboxing. If I finish this video, I get acai. If I finish this video, I get acai. Okay, we are officially on to the last section, which is the adult section, and I kind of messed up and I put one book in the YA section, but I'm going to edit it to fit here. But if I say YA, that's why. Yes, and it's also my one like non-romance book, so I'm going to put it here. The next book that I'll be talking about for the month is Morgan Is My Name by, I almost said by Morgan Le Fay. It's the first one in the Morgan Le Fay series by Sophie Keetch. I don't know why I'm shaking it like this. I ended up rating it a 4.5 stars. It was pretty good. Basically, this book on the back explains itself to be a feminist. This book explains itself to be a feminist retelling of Morgan Le Fay's story from the Arthurian legends. So, if you've never heard of King Arthur, yes, like King Arthur, Camelot. Morgan Le Fay is his half-sister, his older half-sister, born to his mom in her prior marriage. I knew it was gonna be a heartbreaking read, just because Morgan's story, depending on which legends you read and whose version, like, her story is not very happy ever. She is not in this one, but like usually a lot of the terms that people use to describe her is a witch, and in medieval Europe that was not a good thing. I really enjoyed it. There is some, I forgot what it's called, but I was just like, please excuse me while I was trying to remember the term for this, but women loving women. What is that? Why am I being stupid right now? What is happening? There are women loving women. That's the term I'm going to use because I can't remember. Lesbians. I'm looking for the word lesbians. Thank you, brain, for providing that information. Yeah, there is lesbians in this, so if you need that qualifier, it's not like the main romance is lesbians, but like they're there, so if you need that, there's that. Yeah, but I'm definitely getting the next one. It's not an easy read, both on the subject material and the treatment of women in the subject material, because again, medieval Europe. And it's also, the prose is very beautiful and it makes sense. It's just when you are like me and sometimes just want to read a book where you can just turn your brain off, like a romance novel of certain kinds. This is not what you're looking for. But 4.5 stars. Cool, welcome back. We're gonna start with the romance books. Up first, we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, which I believe is how you pronounce her name. Sorry again. Basically, this follows Mika Moon, who is a witch, and like, of course, she has to keep that a secret. And she's a part of this society of other witches in Britain, but they only have one meeting like every 3 months or something stupid, because the head witch in charge, which we also find out is like the person who took care of her, is like, when magic is together, it becomes more powerful. So like, we can't be seen around each other. And like, their meeting spots like move around, which Mika thinks is stupid because it like kind of is, but like, we're also in her perspective, so I'm sure that's why I think that. And basically, she's like, I need a sense of community, because she's like always moving, trying to keep her secret. So she starts basically a TikTok account where she's like, I'm a witch online, and she does like actual real spells, but like hides them to look more like TikTok-y kind of magic kind of stuff. But somewhere else in the country, there's this old man who happens to be like randomly scrolling through TikTok, and he's like, this woman's actually a witch. And the guy, Jamie, is like, how do you know? And the guy's like, trust me, I know. So basically, also in this world, the way witches are, one of the reasons they're so solitary is because there was like this curse, or like this spell gone wrong, where basically all witches are born with no parents. So that's why every witch is an orphan. And so in Jamie's home, there are 3 orphan girls who are also witches, and they like very desperately need someone to help them control their magic, because there's other stuff happening in the background. Yeah, and basically they're like, Mika, you should come join us and teach the kids their magic. And at first Mika's like, shit, I'm breaking all the rules. But then she's like, but the rules are stupid, so I will go. And basically the romance that happens is between her and Jamie. It's very cute, very cozy. I feel like this is marketed as romance, and I feel like it's a lot less romancy than you would think from a traditional romance novel. I feel like there is more, it almost feels like there is more plot than romance, but it is very not contingent on the romance, but like, that's what I mean. Like, the romance novel is more plot, is more cozy situations than, I would say, romance. This was also one of the first books I read last month, so I'm already forgetting. But yeah, I remember Mika being a very fun character. I think that the magic system is very cool. The lore is very fun. I believe there's another book by this author that just came out in this world, so curious to pick that up eventually if the teapot ever gives me things. Please give me things. It's very cute. I would suggest it. I feel like it would be a really good October read if you're like into reading things in the season. So this one, I ended up rating it 4.5 stars. So like, overall, good time. Okay, cool. The next books that I will be talking about are from the Kings of Sin series by Anna Huang, and the first one is King of Wrath, and then book 2, King of Pride, which I both read last month. What was that sentence? I don't know. I'm sweaty and I want acai. Book 1 follows Vivian Lau, where she's basically put into an arranged marriage with another much more cool billionaire named Dante Russo, and we find out that neither of them want this marriage. Vivian just kind of doesn't want an arranged marriage and like wants more time to find her own husband. We find out that Dante has been blackmailed by Vivian's father to be a part of this arranged marriage, and until he can destroy that evidence, he can't like not marry Vivian. But like, they fall in love and all is fine and good, except they have the communication skills of literally 2-year-olds. And Vivian kind of does, but like kind of doesn't. Like, she's definitely better, but her communication skills aren't great. And Dante's are actually terrible. If I wanted to be around men who had bad communication skills, I'd go outside and talk to one. So I did not enjoy this. This was a 3-star for me. It was decent. The story was okay, But yeah, 3 stars. Literally just for the fact that this man can't communicate, because why would I want to read a romance book? I don't care if he's a billionaire. If he can't communicate, get that out of here. And the next one, King of Pride, I liked a lot better. I ended up rating this one a 4 stars, and this one follows one of the same world. We played, I believe, I'm only on book 2, but from my patterny brain that likes patterns, and the way I think the series is going to go down, as someone who reads a lot of romance books, I have a feeling that, so in this world, there's this club called the Valhalla Club, where like only select billionaires have access to, and Dante is a part of it, and so is this guy. So I just have this sneaking suspicion that all of these books are going to be about the other people at the Valhalla Club. Don't confirm it for me in the comments if you've read these books. I would like to maybe be wrong. Editing me, because I explained this book really terribly. Basically, this book follows Kai Young, who's like a very straight-laced CEO. He's currently waiting for the vote of whether he's going to be CEO of his family's company, but he's like basically sure that it's guaranteed, and he's got all his like ducks in line. And then into his life comes Isabella, who's a little bit of a train wreck. She wants to be an author, but she's currently working as a bartender, and she's having a really hard time getting her manuscript done. The place that she happens to get a job and bartend at is, surprise, surprise, the Valhalla Club. And they have a very strict rule where the staff can't fraternize with like the members of the club because they're usually like billionaires. But Kai and Isabella kind of break that rule, and it's kind of like a forbidden romance. And yeah, for overall, I really enjoyed it. I really liked the meshing of Kai and Isabella's personality. My one gripe with this book was like, why Coney Island? If you've read the book, you know, but like that was so stupid. Coney Island's not even that great. Sorry, people from New York. I hate Coney Island. It's ugly. Like, why would you? I will hold my prejudices. I don't like Coney Island. And also so therefore it made the Coney Island decision even more of a stupid decision. Like, I understand why plot-wise, but like, why? Literally, there were no other place. Oh, anyway, I think for me, I also did a few more other problems. I'm having a really hard time believing this world about these billionaires. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's maybe just not enough detail. Like, I don't really fully understand why I'm not fully believing in that these people are billionaires. I don't know. The way they're maybe written about is not helping. Like, I'm kind of thinking of kind of a billionaire romance series-ish, like Crazy Rich Asians. That series is, the way it's written about, I guess it's different, right? These are supposed to be like fun romance novels, but I'm having a really hard time suspending my disbelief, which is a big problem for me. And why I don't think like the personality of Kai and Isabella are like right up my alley. It's just that like I'm having such a hard time believing in the world that like that was difficult for me. And the other thing that I didn't really like was how the plot happened. I feel like after the couple gets together, so it's a forbidden romance and they're trying to keep it a secret, and I feel like with this way their relationship happened, there's ways to create like fun tension, and then there's unfun tension where like things are serious, and I don't really enjoy the serious tension that was in this book, and it felt like there was not enough fun tension in this book, if you get what I mean. And especially like once they're like together. Oh, and this book also has a 3rd act breakup, so like rude. I really do feel like I remember like, oh, it's gonna be like a 4.5, and then the 3rd act breakup happened and I was like, well, that's useless, that's stupid, maybe I should lower the rating. I'm thinking back on it and I don't really remember enjoying it that much. I'll leave the 4-star for now, but good. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed King of Wrath. I think next is King of Envy, and I believe that one's like Second Chance, which I'm scared for because I don't generally like Second Chance, but if it's the couple I think it is, I might like it because of the setup. But yeah, I ended up rating it a 4 stars if I didn't say that already, and back to old me. A lot of people that review these have very wildly different like ratings. I don't think I've seen 2 people have the same rating for all the books, so I'm curious to see where I stand on the next one. And we're gonna move on to the last book in this video, which again for the second month in a row is Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. Got a 4.5 stars again. I reread it. If you want to see a more in-depth review about it, definitely go to the next one, the last video. But basically, like, really broad overview. It's interconnected from It's Hazelwood. Holy shit. It's interconnected. I'm just really excited that I get acai soon, okay? But I can see the acai in my brain. I need you to know the acai bowl is like, like a picture of it has appeared in my brain on the door, and like I'm so close yet so far. I don't know what this video is gonna become. Basically, this book is interconnected with Not in Love, which is one of Ali Hazelwood's other books. More interconnected than her other books really are. Like, they all kind of make cameos, but like these two are actually interconnected, and that's because Maya from this book is Eli from that book's younger sister. So my brain kind of stopped speaking English for the rest of this video, so I will do it. Basically, it's an age gap romance where one day Maya is trying to call her brother for help, and his best friend comes instead of him, and stuff kind of happens, and it's weird, but they put it aside, and it's fine for a little while. But since this book takes place 2 years after Not in Love, Rue and Eli are getting married, and Maya, of course, is going, and so is Connor Harkness, which is Eli's, like, I don't remember his name anymore, who is Eli's best friend, and they're gonna be forced to be on this in this Italian villa together and be like amiable. And the only issue is there's some kind of falling out that we don't know about, and yeah, it's a good time. Again, an age gap, it's 15 years, so if you're not okay with that, and it's not like one of those romances where like the younger person is like super mature. Like, Maya acts like a 23-year-old, and she's hilarious, and she's fantastic, and she's super funny, and I do like Connor's character. But if you are not an age gap person, don't read it. Like, it's called problematic summer romance for a reason. But yeah, back to past me. Yeah, there's nothing really much more I have to say. Like, I think if you've seen this channel enough, like, you'll know how much I love Ali Hazelwood, so like, of course I reread it. And we've done it. We're at the end. I get to go have my acai bowl. If you made it this far, congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And for all of you who are subscribed, I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you. And leave, what should you leave in the comments? What's your favorite, if you could have any acai bowl, what would you leave in the comments? Whoa. Any toppings on your acai bowl, or any acai base. What is your combo? What is your go-to if you ever go get it? That is all for me. Okay, bye! Alright, and the final book for the YA section is The Fragile Thread That Speak too much because it spoils. My sister was yelling at the dogs. I knew this heart was gonna be breaking. Heart is gonna be breaking. That sounds like a song. I don't know what's going on. It's King of Rant. What is with this accent?